So Bubbleman has been a friend of mine for a long time. He was here long before I arrived at Cannabis Culture, and one of the first really cool people that I got to hang out with. Mr. Bubbleman. Give me one of these, brother. How you doing?
Yes, very good, very good.
Things are good.
Happy
Looking
to
nice
be
and
here.
bearded.
Yeah, I am kind of bearded, aren't I?
I like that.
You must like
Looking
that.
good. Yeah,
you
know,
got your
I'm
beard game on lock.
Pogonologist myself.
All right, so I figured we would
You can
have
take
a
that
little
mic
puff.
out of there if you want.
I'm
so
gonna.
you don't, yeah, when
but
you're
I
done.
need both my hands right now, so I'm going to do the awkward lean.
That's all good. That's all good. We got your little device here.
Yes, just quickly give that a do.
Oh, yeah, the XLR there.
Push that on at the back.
Oh,
We got the mothership, the brand new Fab egg in the house.
Oh, baby. That thing is very nice. Wow. Cool. It's a Fabergé egg.
Yes, it's funny because someone who knows nothing about pipes recently saw it, and they were like, that looks like a Fabergé egg.
It does.
It was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, and those, of course, are known for being very classy, expensive, crazy. Not the kind of eggs you want to, like, crack at all.
Oh, my goodness,
Anyway.
no. It happened to Brett Maverick recently. If you follow him on social media, he's a young kid that makes a bunch of oil and hash and stuff, and he's a fairly popular in the social media traction world, but he cracked his right in half on the top, and it was... I didn't even like waking up and looking at that.
No kidding. Well, anytime I see any kind of smashed glass products, I'm always like, oh, no. Somebody's friend.
Yeah,
didn't
it's a
make
bummer.
it.
Even if it isn't a multi-$1,000 piece, it still sucks, but
Totally.
it sucks extra for
Yeah.
a multi-$1,000
I would say so.
mothership.
Yeah, for sure. So, of course, I mean, most of the people that are watching probably know who you are, but I wanted to go over exactly this concept of bubble hash, how you got involved in really extracting the trichomes from the plant, and how you basically... When was the first time that you ever heard of a trichome? Do you remember?
You know, I'm going to say that it was sometime after 1994 or 5, after my first Cannabis Cup.
Yeah.
And I had met Rob Clark there. I did not meet the Skunkman Sam that year, but I definitely smoked some of what was his with Rob.
Yeah.
And I remember Rob saying, if it don't bubble, it ain't worth the trouble. And then they had these old style Ruhr bongs, and he'd hit it on a screen, and then it would just literally half the rip would drip right through the screen, and then you saw, every time he took a rip, you saw half of your rip drip down the downstem.
Right.
And I just remember being like, what the fuck? Like, what is that? Like, it was just a whole other reality to me.
Totally.
I was in my 20s at the time.
You're used to puffing...
It got me thinking,
flowers
though.
in the
It really,
bottle or
like,
whatever.
that if it don't bubble, it ain't worth the trouble. You know, it was 4 years later that I would start Bubble Bags. And that, of course, quick story was I was helping the Compassion Club locally. I helped Hillary Black from the conception of the Compassion Club when it was ideas on a piece of paper on my living room floor, with her deciding whether or not she's going to go live with Todd McCormick in California and do that, or if she's going to stay in British Columbia. This is 95, 96,
Right.
or should I start a club? She starts the club. I start growing for her. Both Romulan, Joe, and myself were probably two of the first growers for the BC Compassion Club.
Right.
We used to supply her with, affordable, organic, well-grown cannabis. And that sort of led into several years, 96 to 98. I did that steadily. And then not only growing it, I would procure it through brokering, finding, herb throughout the city.
Right.
And one night I went through, I was taking pounds home, quite a few of them actually, almost 20 pounds and almost 10 grand cash. And I was taking it home because someone had driven their car through the Compassion Club and tried to steal their safe, which was this huge fucking safe that it took 3 big dudes to move.
Yeah.
But they had bent the door open, the front of the door open enough that it was releasing all the smell of the 15 pounds of Renee that was in the safe.
Oh, Jesus.
And so it just reeked, and it was kind of one of the first real, think about this is the 90s. The police show up. The car has smashed through the front of the club.
Oh, Jesus.
The safe is open and reeking and not where it belongs. It's been dragged quite a ways away from where it belongs.
Wow.
And so the police get there and they guard the safe until Hillary arrives. And they don't take anything and they don't press any charges to
And
the
they're
club.
sniffing the Renee the whole time.
Dude, they were so awesome. It was the real... Back in those days, you have to understand, the only people that were buying medical marijuana were terminally ill people. So a lot of the people at the club in those days are no longer here with us.
Right.
They were very, very sick people. So
kidding.
I took this herb home because of that. I got busted at a roadblock. And that really led me into kind of my wife saying, hey, you know, like I think it's great what you're doing and everything, but is there a way you could do it without getting arrested and going to jail?
No kidding.
So I was like, all right, I'll try to figure something out. And that was the year I had seen water hash bags here. There was a guy by the name of the Professor who worked at, I think it was WTI on 41st and Ninth Street. Maybe. That's correct me if I'm wrong, guys. And he had a couple of sets of these isolator bags, which were created in 1998. Now, to just do a side story, these bags were created based on a machine that Reinhardt Delp had invented in 97, patented, brought to the Cannabis Cup that year, showed to Mila, who signed a contract and was like, okay, I'm going to do business with this machine. It's a great idea.
Right.
But then Eldon and Mark Rose saw the machine and came up with the bag idea. Hey, 2 bags, nylon, screen bottoms, and a 5-gallon bucket. You got the same thing. It kind of got hijacked and turned into this bag idea.
Yeah.
I tried the bags, 3 batches, totally not impressed. On the 4th batch, I run some Breeder Steve Shishkaberry, make this unbelievable melty quality hash, and I tell my wife, I'm going to go to Amsterdam and I'm going to figure out a way to be the Canadian guy for these isolator bags.
Yeah.
That didn't work out. The meeting didn't go as planned. We didn't really click. I came home slightly bummed. My wife said, why don't you make your own? And so at that point, I thought, well, if I could make them better and not, okay, the worst way to kind of be inspired by a product is to copy it and make it cheaper and shittier. That's just terrible fucking business.
Agreed.
But to make a product that you know is out there that you can make better and maybe a little bit more expensive for the end user, well, then I felt like that was good business. So I started down the road of creating my own bags. That was, 16 plus years ago now. We have since worked out a deal with Reinhardt Delp and leased his patent because he really did get fucked over and out on all the bag sales that have occurred in the world since 1997.
Really?
Knowing that it's a fact that all the bags that have come since have been based on his machine. And he patented the machine and the modality of it doing it. So, yeah, after 8 years in court, I felt that it was a pretty solid move to kind of just pay our dues with that. So we're now one of the 4 companies in the world that are leased for water extraction to sell bags legally.
Wow. Well, very cool.
Yeah.
And successful because they've really caught on and actually blown up. Everybody knows bubble bags.
Well,
People use these all over. And you've been like one of the main advocates, and I think it's because of your popularity, it's helped the bags themselves, right?
Yeah, I think it was my timing to just be a guy at this particular time when digital cameras and the internet, like cannabis.com and Overgrow and Cannabis World and cannabisculture.com, all of these sites coming out of 99, 2000, 2001, that was the time. And all of a sudden, it all just lined up
this
so
is
perfectly.
The cultural side of it. It's not just that you've developed some product that is like some, sending it out there and people. There's this whole culture that goes with it, and it's image building. It's really savvy shit. It's smart. It's the same thing that Nike and all these other people do, but you're doing it for something that's actually worth it. You really truly believe in this method and process, and you have a deep philosophy that goes with it, and I think that's why people admire you for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, you don't have to know me for very long to know that I'm definitely not making this shit up or pretending to like this.
Yeah.
This is absolutely 100% the driving force in my existence.
Completely.
So
and you're a talented artist too, so I think that's what's...
It's a tall tale.
That's McMahon out there. But yeah, of course, we published your stuff in CC. You have amazing photographs all over the place. Yeah. Macro photography is one of your specialties, so you really take people inside that plant to see what those trichomes really look like up close, and it's these great, beautiful results. It's like Alice in Wonderland stepping into this other world of small, tiny little things that are so huge when you look at them.
And props to Marc Emery for really recognizing that photography at a time when no one else was doing it. And a lot of magazines were not interested. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe a cannabis magazine wouldn't be interested in National Geographic quality, clear macro photographs of the plant that we love so much. Like, Mark was just like, I'll take them all. Yeah. Of course, 50, 60, whatever there is. Like, of course we want them all in the magazine. Yeah. And he would buy 20, 30, 40 shots at a time because he understood the sort of value of those photos in the magazine.
Well, and it makes, I mean, it really is, it not only does it look beautiful, but it has an educational edge to it, and it shows you really what you're getting. And then that allows people to really understand what this hash is. And that's kind of where you've taken it. You started with these photos and looking up close, and then you expand out into this whole idea of educating people on every level of it.
Yeah, no, you said it right there. I didn't really start to take these photos to be an artist. I really did it for education for myself first. Yeah. And then as I was learning, you know, like taking a picture and seeing a banana for the first time, a little male flower, or seeing like what powdery mildew looks like under the macro lens, or a spider mite, or a mutant trichome, or a cystolithaire, or all these different things. Here, have this rip of D420K's OG ripper.
All right.
Yeah, D420K came by today and kicked me down the most unbelievable dry sift kick down ever. So I got to thank D420K for that.
Thank you, D420K.
Thank you for this. Should I?
I'm shouting you out. He's hitting your hash right now. Yeah. You're good. You just drop that off onto the side. It'll drop, and then your carb cap's either right here or... There you go. Out of the Fabergé egg. Looking good.
Oh, baby, that's delicious.
Yeah, no problem, man. Abasotutale. Always happy to share rips of goodness. Isn't that just unbelievable?
Wow. Tasty.
So this is a perfect example of how you can do this. Anyone can do this. And Darren was telling the story a little bit. But, you know, from 95, me hearing if it don't bubble, it ain't worth the trouble, to 20 years later, you know, guys like D420K and Johnny B and Mies from, or Time to Share from IC Mag, all different people just spending their time making this sift with the simple sort of quiver that we've been, I hate to say his name, but Dry Sift Wizards, 2-screen gravity trick, the parchment paper trick, the carding, all these little things to fill your quiver with learning how to, take things to the next level.
So, and we're using an electric nail here for those people who are watching and don't know what kind of a cool unit this is.
Slow
Got a
and
little
steady.
Box here.
Yeah, so this is a DNail.
Right,
this is a DNail, and the guys at DNail, I sort of equate them to the equivalent of Bose. So rather than take the money that they make selling their units, I got to hit that because it's hard for me to watch it smoke.
Oh yeah, it's still going.
Actually,
the little cap. How does that actually help it? What does it do?
Well, it restricts the sucking of oxygen, and now you're just getting more smoke. You can feel it if you hit quite a bit. The minute you put that on there, it starts getting. You've constricted it more.
And really, because it allows you to just get what's there rather than sucking in more air.
What you guys just witnessed, though, with Opus hitting the pipe there, and this is exactly how all of us would have hit it initially, is this old school way of ripping a bong, like just raw. Mm-hmm. The DNail is more close to a vape hit, and it's a lower temperature, so it takes that 10 or 15 or 20 seconds.
Do it slow, yeah.
It's slow and steady that wins this race for sure.
Yeah, rather than just hammering it.
Otherwise, you get your hit smoking off into the stratosphere. So.
Okay, so let's talk about this concept of bubble hash.
Sure.
Now, when you first saw these bags, and basically the idea is that you're putting your plant in the bag, throwing water and ice over top of it, and out comes the goodies below through the holes in the bag. Yeah. But why? What is the ice and water doing? Why is that important in the process?
Okay, well, I was once again very lucky in the sense that I wasn't there when Reinhardt showed the machine, and when Mila released the bags with Mark Rose naming them, coming up with the name Isolator, Mark Rose manufacturing them, and Eldon, who was sitting next to him, completely inventing them on the spot. Like literally 2 nylon bags with separate screen bottoms and a 5-gallon bucket, and you've got the same thing. That was his statement. Now Mark, sitting next to him, was like, holy shit, I'm going to do this. So there was really no information shared about, A, how it was working, why it was working, even what the screen sizes were. So I was coming from... by then I was 4 years into having Rob as a friend and a bit of a mentor, being able to learn from Rob Clark over the years and reading all his books and sort of being able to have access to him. I understood that the simple process of why this was working is because the trichome head is a wax membrane, and that wax membrane freezes when it's in the ice and water. And so once it's frozen, it becomes brittle, and in the mixing motion with the ice, they're banging back and forth. They're breaking these little heads clean off the stalk bodies, and due to gravity and the density of the oil inside the glandular trichome head, it's still affected by gravity, and it sinks in water while everything else floats. That's it right there.
That's it.
That's what everyone for 10 to 15 years has been bragging about how great they are at making hash, when really water and ice did 95% of the work for them.